John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down! Ready, down, set, hut, 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 hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sacked lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carrie, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome back. It is the first edition of the Eskridge Lexus Podcast, postgame podcast from the road, of all places, Los Angeles. Well, Pasadena to be exact, or Monrovia, somewhere.
Monrovia.
Let's get a little accuracy there. Monrovia.
Monrovia. Eddie, our vocal expert now.
I'm a survivor, Carrie.
We all are survivors. My God, what happened tonight?
I mean,
other
idea.
than a football game.
Other than the football game, we're leaving the stadium tonight. We park over in Lot K, if you're familiar with the Rose Bowl over there, and
it's the side by the press box. It's basically just a
box,
giant parking lot over there.
And we walk out, and we're in the car. We're driving away. Probably 200 feet from us, gunshots.
Bang,
ring
bang,
out.
bang, bang,
It's
bang.
like it was like we were in the first 48. Gunshots.
It was
ring
the
out.
wire.
Gunshots ring out from the Rose Bowl. That was insane.
Well, and it was like you guys. I was like, was
You
that
said
gunfire?
that's gunshots, and like we joked about it. It's like, oh,
But like, I've shot guns. I think it was 9mm because it had to be coming from a clip, and so I'm used to that sound, but not outside, like in a gun range, more so. But I was like, guys, I think that's gunfire, and you were like, oh, I don't know.
it's like I'm
No.
from Northwest Oklahoma City. I don't hear.
I mean,
gunshots.
I'm just waiting for something to start ricocheting off of our rental car. I
mean,
mean, I just
hope
read
everything
Jason Kersey's story about Bookie's brother dying this weekend, and I'm thinking, oh my God, Bob is going to be Bookie's brother.
Wait a minute. What?
Well, he was in the passenger seat, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I hope everybody's okay over there, and it looks like there was a shooting and a stabbing
Yeah,
was
I guess
reported by one of
so.
the LA Times reporters. Would have been pretty cool for street cred if one of us would have gotten ricocheted. Not like
just
injured,
grazed.
Grazed, yes.
Yeah.
Great story. Maybe get a little money out of it.
Not like, hit in the jugular, holding my hand on it,
oh,
bleeding
no.
profusely.
I don't need
in
Carrie
the rental car.
supplying a tourniquet to my neck.
By the way, the irony of this Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast is that we were given a BMW.
I'm sorry, Ed.
At the Hertz Rent-A-Center.
It'll never happen again. It's
not that.
It's a shitty
It's
car.
a
We're
shitty
Lexus
car.
people.
Like,
We're
yeah,
Lexus
the
people.
Lexus is so much better. It's not even funny. Like, I'm not. My first car was a BMW. I always thought I wanted to get, grow up and get another one.
Fancy boy.
It was it was a cheap, shitty one. It was a 1984, like 320i or something like that. So it was very like today. It'd be like a rich guy would drive that, and it'd be like funny, be like chic. It'd be like
Ironic.
ironic.
He's had that for 25 years. He drives it every Sunday.
You can't find them any. I've tried to find them anyway. No, but once I started driving Lexus, I have no desire for. And after this rental car, I'm all Lexus.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
So anyway, Rose Bowl, Oklahoma plays UCLA. Jalen Hurts. Bob had a really good gamer, I thought, on this, and I don't know if I had at all influenced this on the drive in because we were driving in that giant parking lot in Park K, and I kind of thought for a moment that I was Paul Walker testing my car out at Dodger Stadium. I was gonna just gun it.
He hasn't made any movies lately.
Oh, jeez.
Don't mess with Paul Walker. He's a saint. Don't mess with Paul Walker in Los Angeles, California. What's wrong with you?
Bad boy.
But Bob, Fast and Furious, that was your one of your headlines.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't sure where I was going with that, but just saying, this is how they do things right now. They get off huge start on offense and on defense, and it's like you couldn't diagram it any better than how they've started the last couple of games.
And we were talking about this. I was kind of plotting it out. I wish I had my notebook. It's in there if you want to look, Bob, for me. But, the Houston game, South Dakota game, this game, the disparity at the end of the first quarter in total yardage, like this team gets out. And I didn't ask Lincoln this question. I should have, but I believe 2 out of the 3 times they've won the toss and taken the ball.
Yes,
this year,
back-to-back weeks. That is.
I mean, it's obviously a part of their plan is they want to get out, score, pile up the yardage, get the defense, getting a 3 and out here or there, maybe a couple of them back-to-back, and really kind of, putting their foot on a team's neck to start the game.
Getting that separation that maybe sometimes they didn't have last year, and it was always a 1-score game. It is interesting because they've won the toss back-to-back weeks and no deferring, none of that. They want the ball, and they've shown exactly why they want it.
Jalen Hurts becomes the first Oklahoma quarterback to ever rush for 100 yards or more in the opening quarter of a game. And obviously, 99 of that comes on the first series of the game. He had 4 rushes for 99 yards, capped by
What was ridiculous.
it, like
30 yard sprint down the
30-yard
field, yeah.
touchdown to begin the game. So it was pretty impressive, and I think that's good for the offensive line. I mean, there were so many question marks going into this week as far as, the left tackle situation, which I still think is probably a little unclear as
Eric
far
Swinson
as what
started.
Yeah, I mean, how did it look from above? Because it didn't seem like there was too much out there. I know Tyrese Robinson had the 2 holding penalties.
It looked like Tyrese Robinson was getting a bunch of penalties.
Yeah,
That's what it looked like from above.
The 2 holding penalties there, but they were able to overcome. And, I think that from a macro look at the entire game, it's everything that you wanted. Is that the right word? Is that the right wording?
Seems like every time it's late at night and you get tired, you start talking about macro looks and micro looks. Yeah, that is a thread that's common through the post-game pod for some reason. And it always seems like it's on the road.
Use some big words.
Just macro.
Big picture. Big picture. We'll just settle with big picture. I think they got everything they wanted out of it tonight.
Well, and it was odd, and it's just been odd because I think a lot of people. Here's kind of my thing about this team and the way people view it. Because I'm on Twitter, I'm running the Scoop account during the game. I'm looking at mentions, which I shouldn't do because it's a bad way to watch the game. And not bad because I don't appreciate fans' feedback, but getting every little piece of complaining. If someone gives up a first down, it's like the world ends and someone has to claim that Alex Grinch is a failure and they need to do something else because of one play. And you're just like, this is completely, this is tampering. Like it's completely messing up my view of the game, listening to some of this stuff. Like, and I just need to watch the game and judge for myself what I'm seeing. So here's what I take from it today. And the fans are going to have to come to some understanding on this. And Bob, feel free to jump in here. Alex Grinch is never going to play one player from the beginning of the game to the end of the game every snap. He wants to substitute. He wants to play a lot of bodies. He wants that not only to refresh guys and make it so they can play as hard as they can when they're in the game, but the other part, and this is the part that's hard to understand, he wants to be able for guys to compete for more reps. Just like today, Patrick Fields didn't have that great of a game. All of a sudden, Justin Broyles comes in, and he gets a big breakup on 4th down. And people were arguing with me on whether the guy dropped it or he broke it up, and then his mom sent like the crying emoji, and I had no idea what was going on.
They got off the field, okay?
On 4th down,
they forced the punt.
Yeah, they forced
why
the
does it
turnover.
matter how they got off the field?
So, but I mean, Justin Broyles is a perfect example. A guy that was waiting his turn, finally got to come in, and he played really well when Pat Fields didn't have a great night.
How about Kenneth Murray coming out in like the 3rd series of the game? And they put Brian Meade in. He made a tackle immediately.
Well, that's the thing. People are like, they're all over me on Twitter. Like, what's wrong with Kenneth Murray? What's wrong with Kenneth Murray?
People are hurt.
We did the same thing with Creed Humphrey last week. Like, this is just what they do. They take starters out and they put other guys in.
I forget what the exact wording was, but you asked Alex Grinch about it after the game, and it was he almost wants everybody to feel uneasy about their position in the roster or in the depth chart as far as he wants to develop a culture of competition.
Yeah, and achievement and competition is what a culture of achievement and competition is what he called it.
Instead of entitlement.
Yes, that's what it was.
Right.
That's what it was, Bob. And I love that ideology. Like, how could you not want something like that? And
is it a macro ideology?
I don't know yet. We'll have to stew on that one. We'll have to put that
I
in
think
the.
that's more of a micro ideology, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Give me another hour and I'll come back
Okay.
to you.
I really feel like we're drinking. Like it just seems like we're but we're not drinking.
Well, it feels like it's 5:24 in the morning, or 3:24 in the morning. Excuse me.
Which
but
it
it's
is.
actually
Which it is.
Well, it's 1:24 out here, but it's
Yeah.
3:30 back home. So
Okay, so
I hate the West Coast.
I mean,
zone.
overall, we haven't talked about the stats tonight. I mean, Oklahoma's offense, they almost had 500 yards at halftime.
Can I throw this one out
Sure.
at you because
Let's
this
go.
is insane to me?
Do it.
Jalen Hurts had 141 rushing yards in the first half tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most ever by an OU quarterback in the opening half of a game. Never once did
99 on
Charles
the first
Thompson
drive.
or Jamel Holloway. I would have thought for sure one of those wishbone quarterbacks, Jack Mildred, whoever, would have had 140 yards at some point in the first half of the game.
That's
insane.
It shows you how many more
And we're sitting here
snaps there are in
shitting
a
on
football
the
game.
offense about or not us three, but you talk to Jalen Hurts or Lincoln Riley and we want more out of this offense.
Right.
It's like, geez, I don't know what else you guys want.
Yeah, you're only setting a record in the NCAA for every time you snap the ball, you're getting a first down. Like you're averaging a first
A
down
yard
every time
more
you snap
than
the
what
ball.
you need for a first down.
Yes.
It's like 11 point something.
But look, I mean, it just kind of and Alex Grinch said, they do this on offense too. Like today, you watch the team offensively, and you're like, I was doing it today. I was like, well, I want Jaden Hazelwood in there more. Like, put him in there. And then, when Rambo was in there, like, where's Rambo? And then if CD's almost always on the field, but you want Calcaterra, you want Lee Morris. It's like you always want to see. I mean, running backs, you want to see more Kennedy Brooks if you haven't been seeing
Lee
him.
Morris is alive. He is
He
alive.
is. First 2 catches of the year.
I tell you what, let's just do this real quick. Let us go to the play of the game.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
All right. Want to remind you guys, Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City, EskridgeLexus.com. Our guy Ed Eskridge takes great care of us, giving us cars to try out, and so we can tell you guys about it. But we've driven most of the Eskridge line. Just fantastic vehicles. I've had one for over 10 years now. And if you are a listener, he's a big fan of the podcast, big fan of Soonerscoop.com. If you're a listener, if you're a subscriber, and you are looking for a new vehicle, go to Lexus, Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. If you're from out of state, call him, and he'll work with you, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But tell him you're a Sooner Scoop listener, subscriber. He'll work you a great deal, one better than if you were just a regular customer. So EskridgeLexus.com, go check out their inventory. A lot of new models that we're going to be telling you about throughout the season, as we're going to get a chance to drive some of those to some high school games and during some road trips this season. So looking forward to that, and thanks to Ed Eskridge and EskridgeLexus.com for being such a big part of the post-game podcast. But the player of the game, I mean, they gave Jalen Hurts a helmet sticker on College Football Final. Can we name anybody else besides that?
For the player of the game, probably not. I mean, he was exceptional once again tonight. I think that he even made a couple throws tonight that it was like, okay, that's what you want to start seeing. I thought the throw to Charleston Rambo on the touchdown
That'll be played again.
throw that was exceptional. That ball placement was perfect. Even the throw over the middle of the Drake Stoops, I thought that was a well thrown ball. Probably an even better catch. But you look at his numbers: 15 of 20 for 289, 3 touchdowns, rushed 14 times,
0
for 150,
interceptions.
0 interceptions.
Was he ever even really close to an interception tonight?
I don't.
No.
Not that I can remember. No, I don't believe
He's
so.
not putting balls in bad places. He's not forcing stuff.
He's thrown at least 3 touchdowns in every game this season. I know it's three games in, but he's been very, very good. And I think that, in a way, it's a little frustrating seeing him still, I feel like, has some happy feet every once in a while. But
Oh, yeah.
It's worked out for him.
If you're averaging over 10 yards a carry.
It's like I can't find faults with what they're doing offensively right now. It's working too well right now.
Yeah, you go back to that throw to Rambo. I mean, Rambo said flat out it was just a little curl route. And once he saw Jalen move, it became a scramble drill. And It just worked out. It almost looked like it was by design, but that was clearly just two guys understanding. Play breaks down, they got to make something happen, and they're two guys that definitely can do that.
Well, like I said, 99 yards with just on the ground in the very first drive of the game that led to a touchdown. He ends up with 150 yards rushing on the night with that touchdown he had on the opening drive. And outside of that, I mean, just the offense. When it's kind of like we saw with Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, which I think is a really good development. When UCLA came out of half and they took up almost the entire half, took almost an entire half quarter. Was it 14, 15 play, 75-yard drive?
Yeah, I think it was 14.
Like 7:26 off the clock. The offense had, looked kind of, crappy, and they turned the Jets on, man. They got it going again.
Yes, they did. And, I think it's going to be – I don't want to be critical of what they've done. Obviously, I mean, it's worked out, and they've been really good. But when you do see a better defense, I'm very intrigued to see how this offensive line responds. I think that, they didn't solve everything over 1 week, obviously. It's going to have to be a continued progression in the right direction. And, I think that Bill Beanabo was probably – I would be interested to see what his takeaway was from tonight as far as the way that they played.
I don't think he'll be like he was last week.
He
ever be like that again?
He was pissed off during pregame. I mean, he was getting all up in some of their asses, yeah.
By the way, I'll set a little audible here. We named Jalen Hurts. Let's name a defensive guy because I really think we need to highlight Jaden Davis and the night he had. He led the Sooners in tackles. He's had a pick last week. He had some great tackles in open space tonight, and once again, just really affecting the game. And I just see him getting more and more playing time.
Yeah, he's just playing the position a little bit differently than what we've seen in Norm in the last couple of years. You think about that stop that he had on third down that forced that field goal that they then missed. That's just something that tackle isn't made in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And his ball skills, you're just seeing – he's right where he needs to be almost every single time.
Some of the tackles he's making in the open field, I see them and I think to myself, because I've seen it so many times before, going back to Derek Strait, like, keep doing that, young guy. You're going to need shoulder surgery in the offseason. Like Aaron Colvin was that way too.
Yeah.
He has no problem throwing his body in there. He has played well enough that it makes me think that he is probably working his way. I don't know about into the starting lineup, but I agree with both of you. I think he's going to see more snaps. Do you think that
and again, it's okay if you play multiple cornerbacks. They're going to do that. Trey Brown, there's nothing wrong with Trey Brown. There's nothing wrong with Parnell Motley. They're just going to play guys, they're going to rotate.
Let me ask you this. Going into a bye week, do you do anything? I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you want to say left tackles, 1A, I think 1B is safety. Do you think they try to toy with anything going into a bye week as far as – I mean, I don't know if Jaden Davis can play safety. I don't know if Parnell Motley can play safety. Do you think that they try to do anything here over the next week as far as get somebody else in there? Because, I mean, I don't want to kill the kid. I don't want to just bash on him for no reason, but it seems like Patrick Fields maybe not the answer back there right now.
I think kind of like left guard
or
left
option.
Tackle. He's the best thing that you got.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're going to have, I mean, I just think Alex Grinch, he's got to be smart enough not to do anything rash. To move someone and hurt another position to shore up. Are you going to go, you want one bad position or do you want 2 bad positions?
Sure.
And you need, for someone like Fields, needs to be mentally tough enough.
Tough to say. I mean,
if you have a bad game, to not let this carry over. He's got to be able to just say, all right, I wasn't at my best during this one. They put in broils, but that doesn't mean that I'm over and done with.
Which you got to think that Robert Barnes is a little bit mentally fried. I mean,
first one off the field again.
Yeah, I mean,
I noticed that tonight. It was weird.
Sometimes it's very alarming just how quickly that can spiral down.
And look, I don't even want to start. I'm not advocating for any movements. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't want to see. I know we've had plenty of talks and joked about my stance that I think Trey Brown would be the best safety if you moved a corner. I'm not saying that. I don't want to get into that. I think he's one of the best corners they've got. I think he and Parnell Motley and Jaden Davis right now give you a really good. Now, Jordan Parker, a state kid. It was kind of surprising he didn't see a whole lot of time, but obviously they haven't liked what they've seen out of him in practice recently.
Yeah, well, you've seen Jordan Parker and Chance Sylvie sort of take a step back.
Tapering back.
Yeah, so that you're starting.
But
to
you know what?
see that
De'Larian Turner-Yell
division.
had a rough game last week, and he came back and played pretty well tonight.
Yeah, it's just gonna probably have to be one of those situations that they kind of have to live with the bad and celebrate the good almost at the safety position. And to be honest, that's kind of a scary comment when you know what's coming in the Big 12 as far as some of the offenses out there. But at the same time, I mean, I guess outside of Texas, outside of OSU, who struggled today with Tulsa,
Tech lost to Arizona
what
tonight.
offenses are out there in the Big 12 that are just extremely, very good?
And Baylor's not play. I mean, they're playing another quarterback besides Michael Brewer. A little
Really?
bit. Yeah.
Charlie Brewer?
Charlie Brewer, yeah.
They're playing somebody else?
Yeah. A kind of a more dual threat guy. I don't know if he's been banged up or what's going on.
Baptist, come on. Don't do my guy Charlie like that.
Okay, whatever. You don't recognize the Baptist forever until it comes to benching Charlie Brewer. It's fine, though.
And drinking on Sundays.
We don't drink any day. If I were a practicing Baptist, I would tell you that. So, look, let's do stock up, stock down, because I think we all know where we're starting first, because I tweeted it out every time he caught a ball tonight. Stock up, Lee Morris, back on the board.
Back on the board. Welcome back to the stat book. Back to the box score.
2 catches tonight.
I thought same position, but I thought Calcaterra looked good as well.
Yeah, and he actually got passes where he didn't get killed when he caught him, and he actually had some room to kind of make a move here and there. But continuing, stock up Charleston Rambo as well.
He is he starting to become a guy right in front of our eyes? I think everybody kind of thought it was going to happen, but the last 2 weeks he has looked very good.
He led the team in receiving the first week too. I mean, he's been the consistent performer that's going to make it harder to get Bridges, Weiss, and Hazelwood out there as much as people want them to be there.
Bob, do you think that are people game planning around CD? Is that what we're seeing as far as opening more opportunities for Charleston?
I think there's a lot of that, especially with this team, because you remember Lamb destroyed the Bruins last season. He had one heck of a game. And
I tweeted about this all night tonight, and I was paying attention to it. They were playing a safety over the top wherever Lamb was on the field. And actually on his touchdown, what Lincoln Riley did is he moved him to an inside receiver position, and he just did a slant real slow over the middle, and then he turned it into a go or sluggo or whatever you want to call it, and UCLA just lost him, and he was just wide open by himself because he ran across the field, and that high safety wasn't paying attention. So, but every play, when you look over there and he was outside, essentially he had a safety on top until they really couldn't stop the run game, and sometimes they would take a chance and not have a guy and bring him down in the box. But I mean, they totally game planned around CeeDee Lamb tonight. There's no doubt. And I tried to get Lincoln to say that in the post game. He didn't really want to, get into that. Probably because he doesn't want other teams to try what UCLA did tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, Lamb had 2 touches, and both of them were touchdowns, but it just felt like, he definitely wasn't as big of a part of the offensive plan tonight because of what he did to the Bruins last year. They were gonna make sure that didn't happen again.
It's kind of crazy. We talk about CD getting, quote unquote, I guess defensively game planned out of the game, and they just have so many options out there offensively. I mean, okay, you take away CeeDee Lamb, they're going to throw it to Rambo, or they're going to throw it to Calcaterra or Lee Morris, or they're going to turn around and give it to Kennedy Brooks or Trey Sermon,
or let Hurts run,
or let Hurts run,
or A.D. Miller.
Stop that.
That's just mean, Kerry.
What? He played a lot tonight.
No, he did.
He did have a catch,
you know what?
did he?
You know what's funny is I think Ramondre Stevenson is a very good running back. Like he's a third-string running back, but that guy would start a lot of places, wouldn't he? I love the way that he runs. He's just a physical runner.
Yeah, we're seeing what Lincoln and Jay Ballware were talking about, this being the deepest group they've ever had since they've been in Norman. And incredible after these first 3 games how fresh Brooks and Sermon are going to be. I mean, they haven't had to do much of anything throughout these first 3 games.
Are we still stock up?
Yeah, we are. I'll go Jalen Redmond.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like
He's
that.
starting to just, not show flashes. I mean, when he's on, you get him and Perkins. You saw the back-to-back plays today.
That was great.
That is exactly what OU fans have been clamoring for, and when it comes to the line play the last few seasons.
He was very, very good. I mean, just, he didn't start, but I don't think that matters anymore. Once again, if you get caught up in that stuff, you're just driving yourself crazy for no reason. I mean, I'm cycling through the board here, and somebody started a thread. Where the F is Murray? Did not hurt. Nobody's just you're gonna have to adjust your viewing habits, I guess is the best way to say it.
We're done with
I will
90
say,
snap days.
Yeah, I will say though that when you look up and you see Brian Meade out there in the first quarter of the game or the second quarter of the game, and you do start wondering where Kenneth Murray is, but he was just on the sidelines. He came right back in the next series.
Yeah.
How about it? This might be a little premature. Nick Benito.
Yeah,
Stuck
he's
up.
around the football.
Explosive.
Recorded his first career sack.
Very
I talked to
explosive.
Kenneth Murray a little bit about after the game about Nick, and just as far as he said he can bend off the edge really well, and I think that he's going to be a guy
He's around the quarterback a lot. I mean,
kind of the same breath as Jalen Redmond as far as if he continues to get confidence, and I think that that's more than anything what this defense
and I think you
continues to do.
You could almost put him in an Eric Stryker Oboe kind of conversation, just the way, like you said, he bends really well off the edge. He's rubbery. I mean, he can get around offensive linemen. So I mean, there's a real future. You're starting to see more and more from him. I was impressed with him tonight.
And there's another one. Doesn't matter if he's starting or John Michael Terry.
Yeah.
Does not matter.
Get used to it, folks. Brian Asamoah, how about stock up for him on defense tonight?
He's looked good. I thought some of those young guys that got in and got a chance to play tonight really kind of took advantage of it. And I don't know if we'll put him on the stock up report, but as long as we're going over career first for a lot of guys, Isaiah Thomas had his first career sack in the second quarter. I'll throw this one out there for stock up as well. It's a little bit of a weird one. How about Caleb Sutherland? Made 2 field goals, got on the board.
I don't hate it. I'm not going to.
Do you want to know something just insane that's going to blow your mind that I had no idea about that me and Bob were made aware of after the game?
Caleb Sutherland grew up a girl.
Close. But,
no.
And how dare you?
He was born a twin.
How dare you?
And he murdered him, but they let
twin.
him off.
How dare you assume his gender, by the way?
We are in California.
He's from Scotland.
He's Scottish.
Callum Sutherland is Scottish?
He's from Scotland.
Great.
And he talks like he's from Scotland.
I'm not cussing because it's the post game and I don't want to edit it, but
he can
holy
fake being
shit.
a Texan. He's faking being a
holy
Texan.
shit.
Is that not insane?
Ryan
Ryan
this
Avers
now.
showed me or let me listen to the audio because he was made
Great.
available.
Oh, it's great.
He's from Scotland. My mind was blown.
Right now, he's sleeping in his bed.
Yes. Well, he's probably sleeping on the plane, but insane.
I'm Scottish.
We got to get him in on Monday. Or Tuesday into the
I think
post-practice.
Josh is Scottish too. McQuiston, I think, is Scottish.
I have no idea.
I don't have a clue.
I'm pretty sure that's correct.
We got to get him in there though. We got to talk to him about
He
it.
might be the Sooner Scoop poster boy now. If NCAA comes through on image likeness, he's going to be our spokesperson.
I don't know. Do we want a guy that's 2 for 3?
He's from Scotland, damn it. He can do what he wants.
That's fine.
He's great. No, that is fascinating. I did not know. I'm sorry for, all the other stuff I guessed before that. My prediction wasn't bad. It was 48 or 49-17.
Yeah.
I did. It is, however, grossly, bad in the fact that I picked Jaden Hazelwood to have his breakout night tonight.
It's just one of those.
Didn't happen.
Just
Stock
like
down Jaden Hazelwood.
They've
I'm sorry.
all said it. Lincoln said it. The receivers have said it. You're not always going to be the top guy, and if you can accept that, you'll be okay. And It'll be another one of those moments where we'll look at social media and see what the family and friends of guys like Bridges and Weiss are sort of saying. I mean, that's tough when you're so highly touted to know that you're not going to do much until late in the fourth quarter.
You know, I mean, and here's another thing. This isn't stock up or stock down, but it goes right along with. Didn't we get a little bit of a message tonight saying that, we'd like to redshirt Spencer Rattler?
Just because he didn't get in the game?
Yes.
Probably. I mean,
I don't know.
You don't think it was?
I just don't think-
it was,
thought it was
not a message, but an indication.
I just thought the way the game played out with the Bruins just dominating the third quarter, not dominating, but just taking the time off the third
led the
quarter.
clock.
They dominated the clock. Yeah.
They want Tanner Mordecai to run the offense, not to just go in and hand the ball off. They want to see what he can do when he's actually asked to run what the Sooners do so well.
Yeah, I told somebody before the game, it's like, Tanner Mordecai has not played a lot of football at Oklahoma. You got to get him, and that's even why I made the comment to you during the fourth quarter, Bob, when you came down to the field. It's like, it looks like Lincoln Riley's running it up. I mean, he's passing the ball with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but they're just trying to get him reps.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just gonna wait till it's a
you're
blowout,
in deep.
he's
you're
gonna
in
be
deep,
handing it off.
You're in deep shit if Jalen Hurts gets injured. I mean, you're basically turning over the offense to a guy that hasn't played a lot.
Yeah.
I think this is the second out of these 3 games where they were like one score away from being able to really go in with the second and third string. Remember, with Houston was 42-17, but then the Cougars start to score. The same thing here. If the Bruins don't score right out of halftime, I think we see a heck of a lot more of those younger guys. But that sort of kind of took away their chance to do anything in the fourth quarter.
And that's another thing about the backups. It's like you can tell every time that they have a position where they're young, they try and get those guys as much time as they can. They want to develop.
Places where they're thin. See Ben McIver coming in for Creed.
Right, McIver, however you want to say, Ian McIver. He comes in a lot, and he comes in early, and every time. You're like, oh, I took Creed Humphrey out of the game. Like, oh, well, it's just they're trying to develop
Get those
depth.
goddamn snaps down, son. Every time Jalen Hurts is trying to have to jump for him.
That was not good. I hate to say this, stock down, because it was a homecoming, but Buki tonight, after such a great performance a week ago, didn't back it up with at least even a consistent performance.
He puts himself in bad positions sometime, and then he has to try and go for the leg tackle, and he whiffed a couple times. And I think that is a situation that is going to have to be figured out because he's just not big enough to bring guys down by himself. He has to go and basically hold on for dear life and hope that somebody else comes around and kind of rallies to help him. But at the same time, I don't know. You look at that safety position, you look at that nickelback position, and I think there's some left to be desired, options out there.
But it's safety. I mean, Alex Grinch has been telling us since the spring.
Oh, I mean,
if
you're surprised by this, you shouldn't be. They've been saying it since April.
I'm going to stay secondary. Even though he got his first career pick, Trey Brown doesn't look like the lockdown guy that I thought he would be through these first few games. More, I don't know if it's miscommunication or him just not being where he needs to be, but he seems to be just a little bit off. I thought he would be a more dominant of a player at this point. Did get his first pick, but I still say it's stock down, and maybe it's because it's more of a stock up on Jaden Davis as much as a stock down on Brown.
Stock down. This is my last one, I promise. Tyrese Robinson. I mean, 2 holding penalties. You had such a big stink made by Bill Bedenbaugh about this offensive line. I know he's young. It's probably not fair. It's a lot worse when Eric Swinson's having holding penalties. But you got to know coming into this game, and even not just a holding penalty, but even in that time, he had a play where he just let a guy go that sacked Jalen Hurts.
Because he didn't hold him.
Because he didn't hold him.
That was the first sack of the year, right?
I believe so.
Allowed.
Yeah.
Or did South Dakota might have gotten one last weekend?
There may have been like a tackle for loss that it was him scrambling. That wasn't, but this was legitimately just in the pocket.
No, this was a sack.
Trying to throw,
sacked.
Down the field, and he ran out of time.
The holdings, it's not a big deal because you look at the score and obviously they won by 34. But I'm telling you, those are the types of penalties that, whether it be in the Cotton Bowl or against whoever in the Big 12 slate.
If it's 42-35 late in the game against Texas,
and you get a hold,
and you got
that
a
can
third
change
and
the
5.
entire complexion of
Yeah.
a game. You got to clean that stuff up, or it's gonna end up getting you beat at some point down the road, whether it be down in Dallas or in a Big 12 championship, or God forbid it happens in a college football playoff or something.
Outside of that, I can't really. I don't have anybody to add.
No,
there's
overall, it
guys
was
that
positive.
didn't have great nights, but they're not really deserving of a stock down.
Right. You wouldn't say Deshaun White was a stock down. You
No,
just say,
or Jeremiah Hall.
Yeah,
He
just
got a
game
chance to
didn't
run
do
the ball a
much.
little bit and didn't do much. Wasn't as involved in the offense overall. But I don't know, guys. It was a strange game.
It felt like it was over at halftime.
It was very hot outside to start, but it was California hot. Even though I was sweating my ass off by the time I got to the press box. The crowd made it very strange. To be in the Rose Bowl and see it like that is just odd. Like in L.A., everyone's writing articles about how bizarre it is that this is happening in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that's the story that Arash Markazi was working on. I think this tonight. He's columnist
He said
for the LA Times.
the Rose Bowl is one of the most glorious settings in college football. I think this is a byline. Is paraphrasing. The Rose Bowl is one of the most glorious settings in college football, and it is. It's absolutely beautiful. It's fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
And he said the Rose Bowl, UCLA regular season games have become one of the most embarrassing things about college football.
I think our buddy Jason Kersey tweeted it as well. Like, from a setting standpoint, the Rose Bowl, top 5 sports venue in all of sports.
Yeah.
UCLA's
when they're
uniform
shooting in the parking lot.
that was just that. I'm not gonna. That's not the Rose Bowl's fault. All right, damn it.
Was their cleaning crew though, or someone?
The UCLA uniforms, maybe one of the top 5 combinations.
Yeah.
Iconic. It's just pathetic. It's sad what that entire I was telling a couple people down in the photo room at halftime, that was one of the worst, just kind of sad. I felt bad for the UCLA players to a certain extent.
Their cheerleaders are so hot.
I know,
you
it
want to
just
just go over and console them.
Yeah, that might get you a restraining order, but it's
if
sad.
It's really bad,
It's sad what it has become.
It's like having daddy issues.
I bet of a couple of them from the Valley that have some daddy issues for sure. From San Bernardino or something.
Is that the first game, Eddie, where you've been at end zone when not a single person has been there?
Yeah, there's literally sections down by the field that were empty. I tweeted out a picture of it.
Right.
Yes, I would say so. There's been what year was that? Down at the Floyd Casey at Baylor's old stadium the year before. Or 2 years before they finally closed it when Robert Griffin beat OU.
Right.
That was really poor. That was kind of embarrassing. Kansas has been embarrassing, but Kansas still, at least the students somewhat show up. It felt like it was a high school crowd is the only way that I could even.
It was like going to Jerry World for a state, semifinal
or something that it's just it's such a big place. There's just nobody in it. It just,
there were 52,000.
There were more OU fans there.
It looked like it was
probably
it looked
half
like
and
it was
half.
debatable, but yeah, you can make that argument.
It was just, it's sad. I don't know. Chip Kelly's probably not going to make it after this year unless they just really don't give a damn about football, which could be the case.
It is just you watched down on the sidelines. It just seems like such a different world. Everyone's beautiful. You can see the big money guys versus and this is one of those games the big money guys for OU come, and you see them on the sideline versus the UCLA big money guys. And it's like Hollywood versus, I don't know, regular Joe.
I didn't see anybody,
And I'm sure
I guess
the
I wasn't
OU
looking.
big money guys have just as much, if not more money.
Sure.
But if you live in LA, you've got to look fantastic, and you've got the means to look fantastic, and there's more people to help you make you look more fantastic.
Little surgery on the face, tighten everything up in front.
Get some custom jeans that look a little better.
I never really saw anybody that was a quote unquote like celebrity on the field. I mean, you at least had. I saw Taylor Griffin. Buddy was down there.
Right.
Buddy
was up in the we actually rode the elevator
We
down with Buddy.
rode down with Buddy.
JR, obviously, he's a mainstay though on the sidelines for Oklahoma. Trying to think if there's anybody else that really stuck out to me. I don't think there were.
Interim president
Joe Harris.
He was here. Yeah.
Is it Harris?
Harris? I don't know. I have
We're
a friend.
terrible.
I have a friend that he was their professor in law school.
I bet he listens to the
probably
podcast.
Call them.
That guy can dress. He dresses.
He's a good
very
dresser.
well.
Yeah.
Very sharp.
Can we talk about Roy Manning?
Oh, that was a great suit. Great
That
suit.
was so good.
Great suit before the game. What was that? Would it be salmon?
I would say it was legitimately
pink?
muted crimson. Like
Okay.
Muted crimson.
I mean, it was.
Is that a color? Is muted crimson a color?
It wasn't pink though. It was
yeah.
a red shade of red. It was I mean, it would be like if you had I don't know.
I'll say it.
Overwashed crimson suit.
I'll say it. White guys can't wear that. White guys can't wear that suit.
I told Joe C. he's got to get that suit, and he said, "No, I can't pull it off."
White guys can't wear those suits.
Even Joe knows.
It's okay. It's okay to say it. It's okay to
I
admit
thought Chip
it.
Viney was dressed to the nines.
I missed him. I didn't see what he was
He
wearing.
had on skinny suit. He had on a skinny suit,
Oh, really?
which none of us could pull that. Well, Bob
No.
maybe, but
Maybe Bob, but it.
because he's skinny.
He was a Bruin, so he was.
It was a big day for him, I'm
excited
sure.
to be coming back.
Man, I wonder what he thinks about just everything that's going on within
I
that
bet
program.
he's not happy. I mean,
Just kind of embarrassed.
yeah, he played there. I mean, nobody's going to be happy with that situation.
No, I mean, how could you?
I'm sure Chip Kelly hasn't made a lot of friends in the administration.
You don't see Chip Kelly going around
Not
glad
a
handling
schmoozer.
everybody?
No, can't see that. By the way, the Big 12 started out so well today. And then, other than OU, it's kind of a crapper night. Iowa State. Did you see how they lost?
Yes, we
so
saw
bad.
it finally.
Oh, my God.
So Iowa was kicking, and
I
Iowa
mean,
State
it's
was
not
going
like
to
they
get the
were
ball
going
back
to
down.
win if they
were gonna,
got the punt, but
they were going to be down 1 with about 2 minutes left.
yes.
God, that's. I told you guys
And if
when
you
you guys
haven't
got down to
seen
the
it-
field, it's like there are a few things that are guaranteed in college football, and you can now put Iowa State
Losing to Iowa.
in some kind of crushing, just rip your soul out of your body type experience. That's the way it is.
And I have no idea what happened to Texas
Iowa
Tech
State's little
tonight.
brother. From what I saw, it was 20-14. Tech punted. The ball was down on the 1 yard line, and Arizona proceeded to go on
99 yards.
like a 20-play, 99-yard drive in which they ran the ball like 17 times and just ran the ball right down Tech's throat.
Wow.
And I think the biggest story of that is Bowman got hurt.
Oh.
Came back, shoulder,
Okay.
came back in the game, threw a 66-yard touchdown pass or 66-yarder that put him in the red zone. They took the lead. I mean, it was 14-13, and then I think Tech only had one more series of offense after that. Like, they just couldn't get off the field.
And
They're going to go through some growing pains with Matt Wells, I think, just as far as the culture.
The great thing about today being out on the West Coast is we got to see a lot of games. Before we went out there, Eddie was very upset because there were no games on after.
Once it's over, it's over.
After the OU game, I like maybe having a beer and watching the end of a Pac-12 game.
Yeah,
I would
enjoy that
trade
too.
in. I would trade in the 9 a.m. start for a 1 a.m. finish, and I guess that's the way that we'll get that back here next week.
But we're sitting around watching games today, and I mean, Kansas State represented well. I mean, hell, Kansas beat Boston College out of nowhere last night.
I would say you're going to have a hard time finding a more surprising final than the Kansas-Boston College game the rest of the season. They were 19-point underdogs and won by 24.
West Virginia won. Like
West Virginia,
I had
NC
given up on
State.
them. I mean,
I told somebody earlier, like the ACC outside of Clemson, they have to quit playing football. The ACC is awful.
I mean, I watched that North Carolina Wake Forest game the other night, and it was kind of awful to watch.
Yeah, Wake Forest was up, and
then
North Carolina had a chance at the very end. But
and they called the guy. They said the game was over when the guy clearly stepped out of bounds with 1 second left.
Yeah, that doesn't.
And
really
then the
bother me.
ACC had to issue a statement saying, "Yeah, we screwed that up."
But when they were going to wind the clock, they wouldn't have been able to get a playoff, right?
They would just had to
After the
snap
first
it
down?
that very second.
I guess, yeah.
I have no idea.
I don't either.
NC State's embarrassing.
But the thing is, Big 12, for the most part, represented. I mean, I was thinking about this today. I mean, the Texas Tech loss change. It doesn't really change things, but it takes some of the, I don't know, some of the glisten or the shine off of things a little bit. But
Yeah, you had Kansas, KSU, TCU, all going on the road.
Is it too much
winning.
of a hot take to say if OU wins the Big 12 this year, it will be their most impressive Big 12 title in the last of the last 5?
Just because everybody is kind of grouped in that lump together.
Because there's no just shit teams.
Yeah, I mean every game is going to be tough. I would say, like you can't. In a way, like Kansas is still on the schedule, and I don't think Kansas is going to still. Kansas isn't competing for the Big 12 championship by any means. But that's a game that you just can't show up and win anymore. I think that they certainly have done enough, and I think everybody
State's
has
not
enough.
easy. I mean, they're tougher out than they were a year ago.
Sure,
Iowa State's not
it sounds
gonna
like
be
they didn't play
easy,
that
but
well for a half, and then kind of pulled away from Tulsa.
Kansas State could be a team that gives everybody trouble. I mean, I think they're the new. I don't know if you make me do power rankings right now. I'd probably do Oklahoma 1, Texas 2, Kansas State 3, Oklahoma State 4.
You just can't put Iowa State up there, and that's kind of why I've been beating that drum for the last couple of months. Like when you lose as much talent as they had on the offensive side of the football,
the problem is they do this every year. They go out and lose to Iowa, and then they turn it around.
Yeah, and they'll play well.
They make the conference look bad, but maybe the conference is too good to allow them to do that crap anymore.
Well, it's just kind of bullshit. I mean, Iowa's not a good football team. They're not.
They're ranked.
I know.
They've got a veteran quarterback.
You got to rank 25 teams, and you got to get it somewhere.
So, I think the thing is, Oklahoma 3 games in, Jalen Hurts. I was hearing ESPN talking about it tonight. They think he's 1-2 with Tua, which the national people would love that. I mean, they would love a Tua Jalen Hurts.
You see Tua's game today?
Woo! Really good numbers.
Like 466
and
and 5.
That's an Alabama passing record, isn't it?
And who'd they play today?
Alabama, South Carolina.
That's
right. Yeah, I saw a bunch of Muschamp bitching today. So
yeah,
he's getting on the hot
it was a
seat.
close game. It was 17-10 at halftime, and then
for South Carolina to lose to that North Carolina team,
it's bad.
Boy,
it's very bad. They should have started the Hilinski guy right out of the gate.
Yeah, but look, for Oklahoma's purposes today, the defense. No, it's not perfect, but it's not a disaster. They made a lot of plays. Say they had 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions. They got some stops on 4th down. They did give up, a play here. I fully expected this defense to get burnt, a time or 2 a game, just not to completely collapse. And that's basically seeing what we're happening.
They haven't been beat over the top yet, have they? Through 3 games, I don't think they've been beat over the top.
So.
No,
they've given up a bunch of stuff underneath, and I guess
a lot of people have tried though.
No, that's true. That's true. There was a couple times today that UCLA took a couple shots.
South
deep
Dakota
early.
tried a little bit, and it was just. I mean,
I just don't think they had somebody that.
No.
You know what was surprising, and I mentioned it to you, Bob, last night was. I thought Houston looked a lot faster on television last night than they did that first weekend. I thought Derek King looked a lot faster. And I don't know if that says something.
Player.
Does that say something about Oklahoma defensively? And I hate
But
when,
Stevenson looked faster, too, the receiver, number 5 for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I hate to make
He
like
was the
that.
guy that Kenneth Murray almost ripped in half.
Oh, the guy when he clotheslined him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Murray hasn't even. No.
He's just been okay the last. But I
That's
think
all they've needed.
I think
right
South
now.
Dakota was, it was a different game. It was an outside edges game. Tonight, he was involved in the run game. I mean, I watched through the binoculars, and when they're running the ball, he's heavily involved. He's not. He's not
there.
getting a lot of tackles and credit for stuff that he's doing, but he's actively involved. Like he's not. There are very few times where I've just seen him watched him through my lenses and gone, ooh, that's ugly. Like
I
maybe
thought-
once or twice.
One guy that we haven't mentioned the entire podcast that we probably should throw in there. I thought LaRon Stokes made a couple of really nice plays.
Yeah.
I know Josh would want his name thrown out there because I saw him praising him on Twitter during the first half.
Okay.
So he played really well, though.
And that's the thing. I mean, he doesn't have to do it the entire time. He can go in, show flashes, put in Redmond, do the same thing, get these guys between 30 to 40 snaps instead of 70 to 80, be fresh, and both look really good at different times.
And I'll give some credit. Let's throw a little stock up before we wrap up here. I want to throw it to the coaching staff. And you start that with Bill Bedenbaugh, Lincoln Riley, because they were, and I wrote about it this week, they were actively trying to look for a letdown because of this game, the quality of athlete that UCLA has, not necessarily the record. And they got Oklahoma to come in here and play at a very high level. They played well from the jump, and this game was theirs. There was never, the only time it was remotely in doubt there was any drama at all was right after halftime when they went on that 7.5-minute drive.
And
UCLA.
credit UCLA. They made a couple plays that they were backed up in third down, I think, a couple times during that drive, and they just made plays. And I think even Alex Grinch said that after the game he put his defense in some bad spots there. And how much is he really just covering for his guys there? I don't know, but I think it's positive. I think defensively what we've seen, and we saw it last year. I mean, so again, you got to pump the brakes a little bit, but it's just there's a different feel out there, and it's almost stupid to say, but it's like you do feel like there's a sense like the players believe in themselves a little bit more as far as what they're doing and what they're being asked to do.
And they're a cohesive group. That was what we heard time and time again tonight. They love being around each other, love watching each other, cheering for each other, and building off of each other's success. The complimentary football phrase that we hear a lot. You're seeing it with this team.
Okay, so I think it's probably the schedule. You looked at it, you're like, well, it's not the most exciting schedule, but it sets up really well. Now you go into a bye week. You've had your tough road trip, which you're not just talking about on the field, but you come out to L.A. I mean, it's a longer flight. There's more travel. There's more traffic. There's just more logistics involved with it. And that in itself, I mean, we can tell you, we're not young, we're not 18, 19, but it wears on your body. Like, it's a different type of experience than just going to play in Dallas or, going even to Manhattan, Kansas, unless you're sitting in an airport for 20 hours like they did that one time. So, I mean, now they have the bye week. They can start getting ready for start getting ready for Texas.
And get Kenneth Mann back.
Get Kenneth Mann back, which I think will happen. And that was funny because Alex Grinch actually mentioned him by name tonight. Just kind of out of the blue, which he hasn't done. So, yeah, I mean, it's full speed ahead for this Oklahoma football team now.
It's going to be interesting. I think one of the storylines this week is probably going to be just as far as defensively, how do you get better during a week when you don't have a game on Saturday, when you don't have something to, play for at the end of the week, if you will. And I think that from a mentality standpoint, that's going to be kind of interesting to see how this team handles, not necessarily a bye week, but just how you handle trying to progress, because I've talked so much about building on top of each performance. What do you do when you don't have anything at the end of the week? How do you continue to build?
Two players that I think the bye week is the biggest for. We've mentioned one of them already, but Jordan Parker one, Robert Barnes the other. I almost think that there needs to be like a
You think they're going to give
powwow.
Barnes more of a chance?
Well, no, I'm just saying somebody needs to clear the air there. I mean, they need to have a sit down maybe to say, look, you really want this or are you done? Because
Well, we would have said that about Justin Broyles too.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes.
But he seems engaged now.
Exactly. So, I mean.
Like Robert Barnes kind of has to decide, is he done with OU? Is he done with trying to be a star player in this defense?
And we've got one more game, because what did we see a bunch last year? After 4 games, a bunch of people saying they're transferring because they're 4
The
games.
rule, yeah.
Yep. So after Texas Tech, we'll see if any of that happens in Norman. Didn't happen last year, but it happened like Kelly Bryant. That happened with that Auburn receiver. I forget his name. But some prominent guys decide, that's it. I'm done. We'll see if that happens here.
what was the Jalen McCleskey did
yes,
that?
Jalen McCleskey.
And now he's got 2 catches at Tulane or something.
Yeah, Green Wave. Wow. His dad's a coach down there, right?
Is he?
I think
Is
so.
that what the connection was?
I believe so.
But yeah, I mean, it's a bye week. We'll see if there's any movement there. It just seems like every other position, though, on defense, linebacker, cornerback, defensive line. I mean, they couldn't be happier with defensive line right now. I don't think there's. I mean, other than Isaiah, Thomas, and some of those young guys just getting more reps. I mean, probably be a big week for Spencer Rattler. Kind of get some reps. Decide, do we want to go ahead and redshirt him? Do we want to play him some more in backup roles?
Yeah. I think you'd be foolish to redshirt him because if he's that good, he'll be gone in 3 years anyway.
It's like redshirt and Kyler Murray.
I think Kenneth Mann, you'll get him back on the other side. It sounds like.
Yeah. That seems to be the direction that it's going. So, well, I tell you what, thanks a lot, guys. Eddie, Bob, it's been a fun trip. It's been kind of what we thought it would be. I think we've gotten out of it what we'd hoped to get out of it, which is see this OU team get better, see fans be happy with a win for the most part.
This was the best case. The worst case was they go back to what they've done before and they make mistakes.
They finally
on
struggle.
defense.
Yeah,
exactly. This was the best case.
So direction, stock up for Oklahoma football. That's what we know in the end. So thank you for listening. Thank you to Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Go check them out at eskridgelexus.com. And remember, if you're looking for a new car, you want to step it up to the luxury, give Ed Eskridge and the folks over there at Eskridge Lexus a call, and they'll take care of you, especially if you're a Sooner Scoop podcast listener or subscriber. So we've had listeners before go in and buy a car. They got great deals. Want you guys to do it too. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys after Texas Tech, right? Will be our next post-game pod.
We don't have a kickoff time yet.
And that will
Better
lead
be
us.
a night game.
That will lead us into
hope
the
it's a
Red
night
River
game.
rivalry.
Kansas.
Or Kansas. Is it Kansas before?
Kansas
Okay.
at Kansas, then Texas. I hope it's a night
I need
game,
to get
though.
home. I need the bye week. That's who needs the bye week.
We need the bye week, but then we also need a night kickoff because got the Kings, right?
On the
for
27th.
September? Yeah.
Friday night before the
27th.
Tech game.
Yep.
Yeah. Before the Tech game, yeah.
Night game. Come on, Big
That
12.
would totally suck if it's 11 a.m.
It's gonna be 11.
It's going to be that. I mean, that's three,
Everyone will die.
That's
You
three
know it's
straight
gonna be
night
an 11
games for
a.m.
OU to start
Oh,
season.
that's never gonna happen.
Come on, Josie. Just this once. Threaten to leave.
Put out that message, just like Bama.
Threaten to contract yourself from the NCAA.
Yeah, everybody keep Alabama football in your thoughts and prayers throughout the week. They have to play a game at 11 a.m. next week.
All right, so thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you guys back here next week on the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast from Soonerscoop.com.